Were you diagnosed with hypertension or high blood pressure? Or do you know anybody that was diagnosed with hypertension and told to reduce the salt consumption? But after doing so and following all the instructions, the blood pressure never went back to normal. Please listen to this.
Hi, Miss Adeline. I am Mrs. Otik. I was diagnosed with hypertension a few years ago. I was told to reduce salt consumption, which I did. At some point, I stopped eating salt altogether, still my blood pressure would not improve. Do you know what could be the issue, please?
This is a question I got from a real person like you and I recently, and I get this question in the pharmacy all the time. After you considerably reduce your salt intake or stop the salt intake altogether, which is not normal because your body actually needs salt to function, your blood pressure doesn't improve. That just means that salt was not the problem to start with. Salt was not the problem in the beginning. In today's video, we are going to briefly define hypertension. We are also going to highlight some important causes of hypertension, and we will bring up some solution on reversing hypertension or high blood pressure naturally. Please stay tuned. Welcome to this channel. My name is Adeline. I am a doctor of pharmacy. Hypertension is the cause of many heart diseases, chest pain or angina, heart failure, heart attack, coronary diseases, arrhythmias, brain diseases like stroke, dementia, kidney diseases, and the list goes on and on. According to WHO, World Health Organization, an estimated 1.28 billion adults aged 30 to 79 have hypertension worldwide. 46% of adults with hypertension are unaware that they have it, and less than half of adults with hypertension are diagnosed and treated. More than half of adults with hypertension are not treated. According to WHO, hypertension is the major cause of death worldwide. What is hypertension or high blood pressure? I'm sure you heard of the definition. It's a silent killer. I am going to get to that later on. Tension or blood pressure has two different components, the systolic and the diastolic. They both constitute a heartbeat. The heart is like a pumping machine, a pumping organ. The systolic pressure is the pressure when the heart contracts and pushes blood through the arteries, and the diastolic pressure is the pressure when the heart relaxes and fills up with blood. In general, the normal blood pressure is around 120/80 millimeters of mercury, but this really varies from person to person. It also varies depending on the activity state. For instance, your blood pressure when you are exercising, when you are running, it's going to be different from when you are sleeping or maybe when you're just sitting down on your couch and watching TV. Hypertension now, or high blood pressure, which is our concern here today, is the inability of the heart to push blood into the arteries with that pressure, with that normal pressure. In hypertension or high blood pressure, the heart has to work harder in order to push blood through the arteries or when filling up with blood. If you take a look at the chart, you will see the normal zone of blood pressure, which is the green zone, and you will also see the different stages of hypertension. How do you know if you do have hypertension or high blood pressure? Hypertension is normally diagnosed by a doctor or a medical provider, but to be on top of your health, you can get a monitor and take your blood pressure frequently and refer to this chart to find out how you are doing. If you see that your numbers are not good for the most part, I would recommend that you reach out to your doctor or to your medical provider to discuss that with them. What causes hypertension? There are two types of hypertension: secondary hypertension and primary or essential hypertension. Secondary hypertension is hypertension due to a condition Let's say, for instance, somebody that has thyroid disorders. Thyroid disorders might cause hypertension. Hypertension in that case is due to that disease, is due to the problem with thyroid. By the time the person resolves the issue going on with the thyroid, that hypertension is going to go back to normal on its own. Some medications, for example, may cause hypertension. NSAIDs, for example. If you are taking NSAIDs, maybe for a long time, it might give you hypertension. That's a secondary hypertension. That kind of hypertension, if you stick taking the medication causing that hypertension, your hypertension is going to fade away. Your blood pressure is going to come back to normal by its own. Primary hypertension or essential hypertension is not due to any other disease or condition or a medication. It's the one that comes on its own, and it's actually the one we'll be talking about during the rest of this video. So during the rest of this video, when I talk about what causes hypertension or how to reverse hypertension naturally, I'll be referring to primary or essential hypertension. The first risk factor, the first cause of hypertension I am going to mention is genetic, our family history. We do not have control over that, but that's okay. Let's move on to the next one. As we get older, our heart has difficulty pumping blood to our arteries as it's used to. People 65 years and older are more prone to hypertension than young people. That is something we do not have control over either, but which is okay. The third one is the one I like the most, the one that we have full control over, and the one that everybody normally should pay attention to. This one is lifestyle. Our lifestyle plays a very big role in hypertension, and by lifestyle here I do not mean salt consumption. Yes, excess consumption of salt in a few people may cause hypertension. That is salt sensitive hypertension. There is no doubt that aldosterone secreted by the adrenal, the gland located on the top of our kidneys, cause the kidney to retain salt and thus water, and as a result the blood volume increases and causes hypertension or high blood pressure. You heard Mrs. Ochieke in the beginning of the video that she considerably reduced her salt consumption, and at some point she stopped taking salt altogether, but her blood pressure did not improve at all. That just means that salt consumption was not the problem in the first place. Insulin resistance and its component hyperinsulinemia is one of the major causes of hypertension that have been underlooked. In his book, Why We Get Sick, the humble and brilliant scientist Dr. Bickman describes in 5 different ways how insulin resistance causes hypertension. By excess aldosterone, by the process of salt and water retention, is the one I just talked about earlier. But the difference here is that hyperinsulinemia or too much insulin causes excess production of aldosterone. Blood vessel wall hypertrophy. Insulin resistance causes the endothelium, the inner layer of blood vessel, to grow. That causes the blood vessel to become narrow, which causes hypertension. Let's say when somebody did not have hypertension, the blood vessel had this diameter. Now, when the inner layer of the blood vessel, the endothelium, grows, it causes the diameter of the blood vessel to become narrow, to become small. And then the blood has to pass through with a very high pressure. Lack of production of nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator of the blood vessels, but because of hyperinsulinemia, another component of insulin resistance, nitric oxide is no longer produced properly by the endothelium. As a result, there is increased blood pressure. Abnormal cholesterol or dyslipidemia also causes high blood pressure by the narrowing of the blood vessels. This is also due to insulin resistance that causes the damages or the oxidation of low density lipoprotein or LDLs that deposit into the blood vessels and causes inflammation. Another causative factor of hypertension is stress through the sympathetic nervous system. Normally, cortisol is our stress hormone. It's secreted by the adrenal, the glands located on top of the kidneys. It is part of flight response, survival. When our life is threatened, when we have a tiger or a lion chasing us, cortisol helps increase our blood pressure and our blood sugar for us to have the energy to run fast and faster, to be able to save our life, to survive. The problem is that we stress for everything. We also stress for simple and small things. We stress when we are in traffic. We stress when we are not meeting expectations from work. We stress when we are going through family issues. And cortisol does not differentiate between those different types of stress. Cortisol reacts the same way, and what keeps our blood pressure high. The take-home message here for you is that insulin resistance causes hypertension or high blood pressure. Insulin resistance is one of the main causative factors of hypertension. I am sure you heard about the definition of hypertension as a silent killer because of the damages hypertension or high blood pressure causes in the body when people are happily living their life without knowing that anything is going on until maybe they have a heart attack or a stroke due to hypertension. But with the knowledge of the effects of insulin resistance and hyperinsulinemia on the blood vessels and the blood pressure, the question is hypertension actually the silent killer here? Hypertension might be just another victim or symptom of insulin resistance, while the real silent killer is actually insulin resistance. Shouldn't we, by the way, praise our body for its capacity to increase the blood pressure to supply all the organs when there is something going on like insulin resistance? Because some organs cannot survive for a few minutes without blood supply. Hypertension might be good in that sense, maybe. How do we prevent or get rid of hypertension naturally? Well, while we do not have control over our genes and our age, there is something that we have full control over. That's our lifestyle. Hypertension or high blood pressure can be naturally and fully reversed if the heart hasn't been damaged yet. The heart is a kind of irreversible organ, so if it's damaged, there is no way it will go back to its initial state. But let me point out here that even if the heart is damaged and that you cannot reverse hypertension, reversing the root cause of hypertension is going to help you with your quality of life. It's going to help you with the disease that hypertension actually causes to you. Even if you have some form of heart failure due to hypertension, reversing the root cause will definitely help you with that. So, if your high blood pressure is due to insulin resistance, like so many other people, the best action to take is to reverse insulin resistance. Here are my hints to reverse insulin resistance to improve your blood pressure. 1. Are you on a prescription medication for your high blood pressure? If you are on a prescription medication, do not stop your medication. Instead, work with your medical provider to get out of that medication. While you are changing your lifestyle, let your medical provider know. Your medical provider will help you tape your medication down, and that's how you'll work your way out of the medication. Do not stop your medication, please. 2. Stress management. Stress alone can cause hypertension and insulin resistance, or insulin resistance and hypertension. Proper stress management is very important if you do have hypertension. I do have a video coming up on stress management. If you're interested on that, be on the watch out. 3. Diet. Change or modify your diet. Start by cutting down or reducing all refined or processed food. Cut down your carbohydrates intake. Are you obese? Do you need to lose some weight? Intermittent fasting is a very good way to lose weight. I will be bringing more videos on intermittent fasting and diet. 4. Physical activity. It's very important. It's going to help you manage your stress. It's also going to improve your overall health. Physical activity is very beneficial in everything when it comes to the human body. 5. Sleep. It would be great if you can practice a very good sleep hygiene on a daily basis. Alcohol and smoking. Do you drink a lot of alcohol or are you a smoker? If you do have high blood pressure due to insulin resistance and you do want to reverse that high blood pressure, you are also going to have to manage your alcohol intake, and I would recommend you to quit smoking altogether. Do you have high blood pressure and have been trying to reverse it? Or do you know anybody in that situation? Please drop a comment below to let us know how you are doing. Share your experience with us. Thank you. If you have found this video useful so far, please like and share. If you would like to know more about insulin resistance, please watch this video on insulin resistance. If you would like to be notified the next time I post a new video, please hit the subscribe button. Even without high blood pressure, life itself is full of pressure. Life itself has a high tension. Please spread love around you. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.